Yet another loss of a legend, the Green Day Superbowl scandal, and Megadeth topped themselves by releasing possibly the most controversial album of their career. Metal is life and well, so let's see what keeps it going today. Here you go. Exodus Return. So here you go, the second album from our list of the most anticipated metal albums of 2026 has finally been announced. As Californian thrash metal veterans, Exodus finally revealed the title and the release date for their brand new studio record. The first one in 5 years after the incredible Persona non grata. The album, titled Goliath, is due to release on March 20th via Napalm Records, and it will be the first Exodus album after the return of the vocalist Rob Dukes, who rejoined the band last year. And according to Exodus themselves, Goliath is their most band-centric and collaborative record to date. Lee Autos wrote 4 songs, Lee, Tom Hunton, Gary Holt and Rob Dukes collaborated on all of the lyrics, and the band even invited 2 special guests to record this record. Peter Doctrine from Hypocrisy, who did vocals on the track number 2, titled Hostis Humani Generis, and German violinist Katie Jacobi, who recorded a part for the title track. Which now makes me wonder what the flip is going on in that title track that these thrash metal legends needed a violin for it.
You know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin playing just for the waitresses.
But while we will have to wait a little bit to find out what's going on that one, all the Exodus fans can already taste a bit of what the new album will sound like, as the album opener titled 3111 was released together with this announcement. The track opens with a lengthy, somber opening with dissonant chords, turning into your typical Exodus thrash metal anthem, fast and furious with Rob Dukes' high-pitched screams, and the lyrics telling the story about the narco killings in Juarez, Mexico, where, according to some sources, exactly 3,111 people died in 2010 alone. But anyways, in my opinion, this track does exactly what a single to a new album should do. Create quite a lot of anticipation of what is to come. And the only question remaining at this point is whether this brand new album will be able to top Persona non grata, which, just a reminder, to this very day remains the highest charting Exodus record ever. And from this new single, well, it looks like it actually might. But I guess we'll have to wait just a little bit to find out. Oh, and by the way, guys, if everything goes well and there are not too many power shortages here in Kyiv, Ukraine, we will of course have Gary Holt on the show ahead of this release. So if you have any topics or any questions you've been dreaming to ask Gary, please do leave them in the comments to this video. Here guys, just super quick as always, only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel, so I simply have to point out that if you still haven't done so, and especially if this is not the first one you're watching here, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together. Another tragic loss in the rock family. I can't believe that I have to say this phrase once again, but there is another tragic loss in the world of rock and metal. Francis Buchholz, the longtime bassist of Scorpions and the backbone of the band's golden era, has passed away at the age of 75. Buchholz was a crucial part of Scorpions' golden era, joining the band in 1973 and remaining until 1992, a period that saw them rise from European hard rock contenders to one of the biggest and most influential bands on the planet. His bass work can be heard on landmark albums like Love Drive, Blackout and Love at First Sting, including such legendary songs as Rock You Like a Hurricane, Still Loving You and Wind of Change, all of which would never have sounded the way they do without his input. According to the statement, Buchholz passed away after a private battle with cancer, surrounded by family. His departure from Scorpions in the early 90s came at the height of their success, when he chose to step away from constant touring and concentrate on his life and family. A decision which was a pretty rare one for a musician of such a caliber. and especially at that time. In later years, he of course returned to music through projects like Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock, reconnecting with longtime friends and collaborators, and reminding everyone just how important his role had been in shaping that unmistakable Scorpion sound. So yeah, whether you are a Scorpions fan or not, well, it doesn't really even matter, because, I mean, no matter what, they are one of the most influential bands of the 1980s. And the songs they wrote are, a soundtrack to rather important periods of life for many of us. And Francis Buchholz wasn't just a bassist in a famous band. He was part of the backbone of one of rock's most successful eras, without whom, who knows, maybe Scorpions would never have gotten to where they are at today. So today, let's all blast Blackout as loud as we can and remember the legendary bassist. Because you know what? The sad truth is that we're actually entering the era where such news are gonna come quite often. And all we can do at this point is to make sure that the legacy of our favorite musicians will live forever, no matter what. And here, guys, a special shout out to all my patrons and all of the YouTube channel members. Guys, it is thanks to you and thanks to everyone who purchases Metal Pilgrim merch that I'm even able to release these videos amidst all the craziness that is going on here in Ukraine. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. And by the way, there is a special video on a band that never realized how influential it actually was before disbanding in the 1980s, available for all of you already. So definitely check it out. Def Leppard fans, rejoice! Melodic hard rock veterans from Sheffield, Def Leppard, are finally doing something which will definitely make all of their diehard fans do exactly what the title of this news says. Rejoice! Yes, Def Leppard finally dropped a brand new song. Rejoice is the third standalone Def Leppard single in a row and the first original song since 2024's collaboration with Tom Morello on Just Like 73. Yet, at least as of right now, this brand new single does not come together with an announcement of a brand new album by Def Leppard, but instead is released to celebrate the band's upcoming residency at the iconic Caesar Palace in Las Vegas, which commences on February 3rd. As frontman Joe Elliott explained, one day he told guitarist Phil Collen that he had got some lyrics about rising from the rock bottom to the higher level, and asked if Phil had had any musical ideas for that. To which Collen, of course, replied, "Of course, yes!" As apparently he had just a riff, and after Joe came to him, he also created the tribal sound-influenced drum loop that perfectly fit with the arrangement, on top of which Joe simply laid his vocals, and the song was done. Easy peasy. Are you angel, are you devil? 'Cause tonight it's not a sin. On Rejoice, Def Leppard collaborated with producer Ronan McHugh, and in my opinion, it actually is a rather powerful classic hard rock song, which, if it would have been released around 40 years ago, would be among the beloved classics for all of the Def Leppard fans. So yeah, in my opinion, this is actually a pretty awesome gift by the legends of the new wave of British heavy metal. And the whole fact that it's being released in 2026, or 40 years after the band's formation, is simply incredible. Alongside the fact that, in my opinion, Joe Elliott on this one sounds simply incredible. So yeah, great job, Def Leppard. Death metal and creativity. One of American death metal vanguard's Immolation from Yonkers, New Jersey, finally announced their 12th studio album titled Descent, due to be released on April 10th via Nuclear Blast. This will mark the first Immolation album in 4 years after the release of its predecessor, Acts of God, back in 2022, and the first single from Descent, titled Adversary, already awaits to be listened to. But if you want a very short and straight-to-the-point review, it is basically a hymn of darkness and fury, with Bob Vigna scattering his signature dissonances all around, Alex Brooks throwing otherworldly mystical solos and harmonies, Steve Shalady weaving his intricate rhythmic spiderweb, and Ross Dolan's deep growls on top of it all. So basically exactly what Immolation fans expect from one of the most creative and well-respected death metal bands in the world. Problems in Overkill. New Jersey thrash metal veterans Overkill announced that their legendary bassist DD Verni will not perform together with the band on their upcoming Thresh of the Titans tour, together with Destruction and Testament this March. Official reasons behind Verni's absence are yet to be announced. Yet, according to the rumors, Overkill founder and mastermind got some issues with his shoulder, the same ones because of which he was forced to miss the 2024 tours. And DD's substitution for the Thresh of the Titans tour will be former Machine Head bassist Christian Ode Wolbers, who of course is no stranger to Overkill, since it was him who actually substituted for Verni back in 2024 during their tour together with King Diamond. And that actually is a rather scary piece of news for all Overkill fans, as I hope everyone understands that without DD Verni, Overkill simply is not possible. So on behalf of all the metalheads, well, we first of all wish Diddy a speedy recovery and for him to be able to get back on the stage. And secondly, we truly hope to hear the new Overkill album as soon as possible. And if it's going to be at least as good as its predecessor, well, we're up for a real thrash metal treat this year then. And now the time has come for your favorite part of the video, so let's take a look at 5 latest metal releases from this week, which, although did not get their own segments in this video, are still definitely worthy of your attention. Swiss vocalist Melissa Bonny, known for Ad Infinitum and The Dark Side of the Moon, released her first solo album, Cherry Red Apocalypse. The record marks a defining moment in her career, self-driven and stylistically wide-ranging, blending metal, pop rock and modern elements with personal themes and dynamic vocal performances all around. Of which we of course spoke with Melissa in our latest interview, which if you haven't seen yet, you should definitely do after watching this video. Norwegian metal outfit Vreid dropped Kraken, a monumental instrumental track crafted as the official score for the epic feature film Kraken. Rooted in blackened Sogna metal and mythic themes, the song channels crushing cinematic energy and ancient forces and is accompanied by a film-inspired visual release. Mongolian folk rock innovators The Who unleashed the real you via better noise music. A thunderous new single and official visualizer, produced by Dashka and mixed by multi-Grammy winner Chris Lord Alge, the track blends their signature Hunu rock, traditional throat singing and instrumental intertwined with heavy rhythms, encouraging listeners to focus inward and embrace authenticity. Finnish melodic death metal stalwarts Omnium Gatherum surprise-released Moongold, a bonus single from the recording sessions for their 2025 album May the Bridges We Burn Light the Way. Vocalist Jukka Pelkonen says the energetic, layered track was written and recorded with live performance in mind, complementing the band's ongoing touring cycle. Genre-defying artist Poppy dropped her 7th studio album Empty Hands via Sumerian Records. The project, produced and co-written by Jordan Fish, blends industrial, pop and electronic elements with heavy facets and dynamic vocal shifts, expanding her sonic identity beyond traditional metal parameters. The Green Day Superbowl scandal. For years, American rock and metal fans have been complaining about the whole fact that, well, rock and metal bands never get invited to perform at the Super Bowl, which, in case if you guys don't know, is basically the biggest sport event in the United States and possibly the whole world. And although in the last couple of years we got some pretty heavy rumors about Metallica finally performing at the Super Bowl halftime show, well, we all know that didn't really work out. Yet this year it looks like we're getting as close to a metal band performing at the Super Bowl as we will ever get, as Green Day are officially set to open the Super Bowl this year, sharing the night with the halftime headliner Bad Bunny. Whoever the flip that is.
I don't need it.
Hi.
The band will kick things off in Santa Clara, which is essentially a hometown show for Billy Joe Armstrong and company, and Green Day have already, of course, shared their excitement and said that they're super hyped to perform at one of the biggest sport events on the planet. Yet, in a usual fashion of such announcements, it pretty much instantly turned into a scandal. This time because of Green Day's political position, which by the way they never hid. Very public criticism of Donald Trump and the band's recent lyrics changes to American Idiot sparked backlash online and conservative media circles. And the whole fact that Bad Bunny, once again whoever the flip that is, shares those thoughts. Suddenly the Super Bowl performance turned into a pretty serious musical political conflict, polarizing even the rock community online.
Yeah, I'm Shrek.
But here's the thing, guys. Well, in all honesty, people would argue about pretty much anything these days. And if we're being very honest, well, rock and metal has always been political, whether you like it or not. And yeah, you might actually disagree with some of the bands and their positions. I do, but if we want rock and metal to be more represented in the mainstream, we kind of have to deal with it. Because if the establishment only wants, really fluffy artists to perform at such events, they will actually only would have to stick to pop and nothing else. Opeth versus cringe. Swedish extreme progressive metal stalwarts Opeth mastermind Mikael Åkerfeldt opened up about the reasons for creating his own label back in 2016. And in my opinion, those are actually pretty hilarious. As Åkerfeldt explained in the Prog Project interview, he simply could not stand the logo and the name of the Nuclear Blast records, with which Opeth had worked at that time. And he simply could not go on releasing Opeth records with that, according to him, silly name and logo on them. And thus inspired by some iconic bands that founded their own labels, like the Beatles with Apple Records and Led Zeppelin with Swan Song, Mikael decided to establish his own record label, titled absolutely non-cringy, Motor Bolaget. Yeah, I have no idea why you need this information, but in my opinion it was actually a pretty fun piece of news. And by the way, for the record, I actually don't think that either the logo nor the name of Nuclear Blast Records is actually that cringy. I mean, it's actually pretty well suited for, heavy metal. And given everything this label has done for the development of our favorite genre over the past 30 plus years, well, we can all, of course, only thank them for it. But nevertheless, this is actually pretty funny. Divisive Megadeth. This week, the legendary thrash metal band Megadeth have finally released their brand new studio album. The one that Dave Mustaine promises to be the last one ever for this band. I don't care if I'm out of line. And here right away, I just have to point out that somehow they were able to do it. Yes, they were able to release what possibly is their most divisive album ever. On one hand, many fans have responded with deep emotion and gratitude, posting on social platforms and Reddit that Megadeth's music helped shape their lives, and praising the band's creative decisions on this album, and overall pointing out the tightness of both production and songwriting on the final self-titled Megadeth album, specifically underlining the incredible Te amo mentisari. But at the same time, if we're being very honest, well, many actually don't share that excitement. And some fans even voiced some uncertainty and criticism, with at least some people feeling that the album does not completely justify the band's long career, citing moments they see as weaker or filler compared to classic Megadeth material, and even saying that the album is, somewhat inconsistent at parts. And hey, don't shoot the messenger, I'm literally just reading the comments from Reddit.
Let there be shred!
And here's the thing, I actually do understand, well, possibly even both camps. I kinda can see where the second group, comes from to some capacity, but at the same time, I have to point out that, in my opinion, they simply misunderstood what this album is actually about. Okay guys, apologies for this, as you know, I'm in Kiev, Ukraine, and there's no power here and all my batteries ran out, so I'll finish this segment like this, if you don't mind. But nevertheless, yeah, in my opinion, many fans actually misunderstood what this final Megadeth album was actually about. As, in my opinion, and after listening to it carefully, it was actually not a statement. Meaning that on it, Dave Mustaine did not really try to go out with a bang and release the best possible Megadeth album, going back to the roots of this band. But actually did something completely different, as this is the album for die-hard Megadeth fans. And on it, Dave Mustaine actually takes you on a journey through the entire career of this band. As if you listen to it carefully, it actually incorporates the different eras of Megadeth, including the rather controversial latter part of the 1990s as well.
Guitar and vocals.
Hi.
And if you listen to this album like this, if you don't see it as a statement, but rather see it as a documentary, as a journey through the band's career, it actually opens up from a completely different angle and does appeal to every different type of a die-hard Megadeth fan. Oh, and by the way, guys, I of course already recorded a, full review of this album, going track by track, including, of course, the Metallica Ride the Lightning cover. So if you still haven't watched that video, definitely do it. The link to it will be in the description to this video. But yeah, sorry about that, guys. But anyways, what new music did you listen to this week? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please don't forget to like it, comment under it, spread the word about the channel, subscribe to it, of course, and join our communities on Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, Discord, and anywhere you can post content these days. But most importantly, thank you so much for all your support of me, this show, and Ukraine through this very, very difficult time. We will prevail. Slava Ukraini!